Today I bring a problem, and I think it's a standard problem, not necessarily in the straightforwardness of the answer or the result, but it's one of those questions that I think are like one of those age-old, in time kind of questions. At the very least, this question has just been, I think, probably commonplace in society for the last maybe 100 years or so. Um, and that is, I'm now reaching the beginning of adulthood, of being out on my own, and then going on family vacation with parents, with your parents, and in a road trip, no less. There's much less places to hide in the car. There's no getting away from what's happening. So if it's really good, you're gonna be having a great time. But if you're not having a great time, it could be really bad. And I think to examine this one, I want to look at a road trip that me and my parents took 3 years ago. A very similar road trip, in fact. This one's just kind of further, you could say. We went to Colorado to visit my sister, and this time, using my sister in Colorado as a hub, we were going there, but also to Yellowstone. And I don't know what to do about this situation. I'm using, hopefully, this video as a means to kind of figure out my thoughts completely on the situation and maybe come to a resolution. That'd be great. How great would it be if I could come to a resolution by the end of the video? So I'm a little bit torn because as I was saying, the thing to be concerned about is, squabbling with your parents and how uncomfortable that can be, especially the power dynamic being as it is when you're at the point where you're totally like starting to be in control of your life and in control of, a lot of things, and at most things, a lot of things, however, new things. And then you come back into a parent situation, and all of a sudden, you are now back where you are exactly when you left. You're back as a child under their roof, in their rules, whatever it is, and it's hard to go anywhere else, and it's hard to like feel like you're valued and that your opinion matters and any other sorts of things. And in addition to adding to this power imbalance that is already naturally, I think, created between this parent-child situation, even if the parent isn't like totally responsible for the child anymore. But I think there's I'm sorry. The other weird power dynamic is that I won't be able to like totally fund this. And initially I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna have to pass because I don't think I have total funding ability to do this. And they said, oh no, don't worry about it. Whatever you don't have, we can cover the rest. For the trip. And I think I think when you hear something like that, it's like, okay, cool, you have the funding, go do it now, right? But there's maybe not with everybody's parents, maybe not in all parental relationships, but there is strings attached with that money, with that gift, whatever it may be, that my parents will provide, so to say. And like in any other situation, it'll be like, oh well, we went on this vacation, so you should be doing this for us, or doing that, or doing this other thing that is, common things. Everybody wants free art, so to say, right? Like everybody would love to have art for free. People don't necessarily always see the value in the product. And it comes to like things when it's like, oh, do you need something printed or you need some sort of art product? Well, no problem. Will Butt can whip that right up for you. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, that's usually a thing I do for money, but now you would like me to do it for free because you paid for part of my vacation essentially. And I think it's an uncomfortable spot to be in because nothing's really a gift if there's always something else to it. You know what I mean? And it's hard. So I think the translation of that for me with this vacation is it's hard to enjoy something if there's always going to be some sort of there's always something owed, something that needed to be done, some sort of imbalance that needs to be met. or that not even worse than an imbalance being met, but just an imbalance existing permanently. And so it's something that I kind of want to get away from. I think that maybe, like I was saying at the beginning, being an adult, having more freedom, having, more responsibilities, more things, not just responsibility, but more financial responsibilities as well. And so I think maybe part of that, like I was saying at the beginning, is ignoring, when you seem to get heartfelt advice, not necessarily mind felt advice. Yeah, you could just go on the vacation because your parents will help cover you. That seems like like the easy thing to do. Maybe missing out on the experience is the hard part, but I think it maybe means it'll mean more to me, so to say. And also, part of me really thinks that this should be a no-brainer because as a photographer, I like to, just being in the different environments. I don't necessarily do landscapes. I don't do, nature, even centric. I don't make any, nature centric kind of work, but going to just a new area with new settings, with a new climate, with new architecture, would be really awesome. And in the setting of a road, in the context, I guess I should say, of a road trip, and where you can see how land shapes from one thing to the next, I think would be also an incredible kind of experience. But I'm just afraid of the strings attached with that decision, and then also the possibility for fighting, for uncomfortability, for arguments. And part of like this power imbalance thing is what I had in my head was like I get blamed when something goes wrong. But I think maybe that's not that's like an oversimplification of maybe the situation. But if something to go along with the power imbalance, if there is any event, say you're having a discussion, you and your parents, now you're at a point where there's a disagreement, and now someone's angry because of the disagreement. It is now my fault for challenging, for sometimes I get yelled at for yelling at people when I'm getting yelled at, like specifically my parents. Hey, you're just yelling. Why you can't be yelling right now? And I'm not at all yelling. I'm the one getting yelled at. Like they could be mid sentence telling them that I'm yelling at them or something like that. And so these are kind of things that I want to avoid. And it's not exactly something that normally I think in a regular situation you could talk about how you feel and about where you are think things are going to head, and where you think they're on track now, and what you think you could do about what's or not been done yet. And you can't necessarily have the conversation with your parents of, hey, I think we're gonna, fight a lot, and then I think I'm gonna get blamed. I think it's never not your fault, when you're with your parents, right? Because, I mean, like I said, maybe other people's parental relationships are different, but there's always seeming to be, and judging by my siblings, some sort of power imbalance that is existed in the. Like there's kind of like parent-teenager relationship never truly goes away. They always just kind of treat you like you're a teenager because that's the last time you lived under their rule. And so when they see you again, they revert back to the time that they had you under their thumb. And so part of me then, after saying things like this, it's like, oh, these people aren't necessarily, like, these are not malicious people trying to, like, oh, I have something good for you, and then just ruining it right in front of you. I don't think that that's not what's happening intentionally here. But I definitely don't want to be, I could easily as well become that person that I was referring to. I think they could, would easily be like, oh, it's his fault. It's his fault. And then that's not like a fun situation to be in. And another added little bonus to this is I'm going through some particular digestive problems, some GI problems, and one of the things that helps a lot is weed. It is a natural anti-inflammatory, and so when you have bowel inflammation that causes cramping, pain problems, that helps with that, and so. That's not necessarily something that is available when you're traveling across the country to Yellowstone in an RV. So, what kind of thoughts do you guys have? Do you guys have any sorts of opinions or experiences? And I'll see you guys later.